Finished another anime. I don't know how to start these. I'm sorry. I'm tired of the welcome back. So I'll probably be experimenting. So anyway, I just finished. I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm probably gonna butcher pronunciation, but I tried to Google Translate it and have them pronounce it for me. So it's gonna be shitty Google Translate. Me trying to pronounce that from shitty Google Translate, essentially. Anyway, it is on Crunchyroll. It is 13 episodes. It is called... oh shit, I just dropped the remote. Yeah, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Xuan Yuan Luminary? 13 episodes, Crunchyroll. Let me go to details. Okay, details, it says it is genres fantasy, adventure, historical, action, supernatural. I just seen this. I haven't seen whatever source it came from. I don't know how historically accurate it is, if it's based on historical events and doing a different version of it, if it just has a few elements from history in it, say the time period or certain names or something. So I know nothing. I've just seen this. I haven't seen where it's come from, so I know nothing else. They does leave on a cliffhanger. I don't know if they ever continued it anywhere. It's just, it was on Crunchyroll. I thought, hey, why not? And then that's basically what happens. I finished it yesterday. So basically, our main character is Yin, and then we have Ning, and then we have Zhao. I think it's their names. Yin and Ning are two sisters, and we get an opening of them as kind of like children. I don't know how old they are at the time, but younger kids. I would assume probably they can't be any older than 12. So I'm assuming pretty fucking young. And it's important that they never they do grow up a bit, but they're still quite clearly minors. But this is a story about war, betrayal, tragedy. So shit happens. Basically, to sum it up in the easiest way, is that there's this empire that's kind of taking over everything under the guise that they're going to unify it. Now, they never really explain if that's actually what their goal was, and I don't know if it's just the excuse they were using, or if they genuinely thought they were kind of unifying or trying to, and it was kind of the path to hell is paved with good intentions type of the thing. I don't know. I don't go super into everything. It's interesting, but I think I would have liked it more if there was more lore, if they actually fleshed things out better. I still enjoyed it. If you liked Kingdom, that anime that I also have reviewed, you might like this one, and vice versa, because both have a female protagonist that doesn't want to fight but ends up having to fight later on. Where that one, Kingdom was more of a historical kind of isekai, supernatural. Where this is, there's no real supernatural creatures. There's more the enemies are the soldiers, the army, and then these machines they build, and they kind of remind me of wooden robots more than anything. Think mecha, but if you had to use wood and not metal and shit. That's kind of what it feels like. And there's a bit of magic, but they don't use a whole bunch of it. At least compared to most shows where if they say there's magic, it's every fucking episode there's magic. Where here it's a little bit more subtle. They do use it, but it's only really in combat. You're not going to see them fetching water using water magic. You're not going to fucking see Avatar shit here. You're going to see it during the battles. And that's pretty much it. So, yeah. But yeah, basically is, of course, the Empire's taking over stuff, so villages are getting, pillaged and destroyed. And, very early on, we are seeing that Zhao likes Yin, who is our main character, but her sister likes him as well, and that she's aware of that, so she tries to kind of push them together. He asks her, Ning, the main character's little sister, to ask her to tell her sister to meet him somewhere, because he wants to ask her to this dance festival type thing. It didn't go into a whole bunch of details with that. And sorry if I'm starting to whisper, my mom is in the bathroom. And it just feels awkward to talk to myself on this, like, I feel like I have to get quiet. It's just a thing, it's a weird thing I do. I'm very self-conscious about it. So she, because she likes him, decides to kind of, like, not tell her sister, but her sister was kind of, like, not that far, actually. So she heard, and she knows her sister lied to her about it. But she kind of pretended that she didn't know. Because, basically, she loves her sister more than anything, and even though she does also have feelings for Zhao, she would much rather make her sister happy than to, like, start anything, so she kind of, like, hides her feelings. And that becomes a big problem later on. And basically, their village ends up getting destroyed. Zhao ends up getting taken by the army to be made into a slave, to build these, like, they're called constructs, these, like, weapons they use, the wooden robot fucking things, whatever the fuck you want to call them. And, Ning, while trying to, because she goes to the festival with him instead, or goes to talk to him instead, or whatever. So they're next to each other when it happens. I don't know what fucking Yin was. I did some fucking around, I don't know. But she ends up coming after they've, like, stormed the village. And she finds her sister bleeding out. Basically, like, her sister, they try to take, Zhao away, who's the boy they like. And, she tries to, like, pull him back to, like, keep them from taking him, and they cut off her arms. You don't see severed arms or anything, I don't think. But you can clearly tell that's what happened. That she did lose her arms. And later she does get kind of, like, woodenish arms that kind of work. And it's basically her, flash forward a couple of years, he's working as a slave in this empire that took over. I think they're called the Taipei Empire. And where Yin and Ning are kind of traveling around doing a little bit of performance acting for their food. So they're kind of on their own. And while Yin and Ning kind of found this village, the snake demon shows up and kind of frightens her into a whole, like, ground collapsing type of thing. And then she kind of stumbles upon this artifact that we don't get a whole lot of information on. We get a little information, but not a whole bunch. Like, why was it created? Like, we know it was created by the Yellow Emperor or something. And that someone else inherited it? Or he gave it to someone else? I don't fucking remember. It was one of those, like, little details they're like, you don't need to remember. Because the rest of the, like, it gives you a nice detail and then that's about it. Like, you don't need to remember to connect the dots. Because they don't really bring up this character again. Other than that, the Yellow Emperor made it, and I guess somehow this other person inherited it. I don't know her name. I think it was Chen something. And then they kind of insinuate that Yin is, like, maybe the reincarnation of her and inherited her soul or something. And that only certain people can use this artifact. And one of the things is, it's like this scroll with, like, writing and, like, this cool, like, humanoid android. I want to call her an android. Like, I'm assuming she's probably, like, the same as the constructs, but, like, a more advanced form of it. So she's a humanoid girl, and she comes out when summoned. And she can also summon a sword, which is called, I believe, is called the Zhen Yin sword, which is the thing it's named off of. And, I don't know where the fuck they get the Luminary part in the title. Like, I don't know. I don't know why it's there. Again, I have heard that word, but I've never looked it up or really needed to. So, like, when I think of Luminary, I think of, like, illumination, Luna, like moon or something. I don't know. I don't know because I had no reason to look it up. Anyway, I don't care enough to. If you want to look it up, have fun. Oh fuck, what was there? And yeah, she can summon a sword to fight with. And then, so it's basically kind of her, like, getting involved with the rebels. Her sister kind of flip-flopping. Because she doesn't want to get with the rebels, but her sister wants to. So she kind of ends up having to get involved with them whether she wants to or not. Like, she doesn't want to because she doesn't want to kill people. And she also doesn't want to put herself or her sister at risk. I think that makes sense. Her sister, like, literally, there's this incident where they have, like, a fight, and she, like, runs off and almost gets, like, caught by one of these Taipei guards, and Yin's kind of like, I'm sorry, I had a fight with my sister, and he's like, okay, fine, go away. And as soon as he turns her back, Ning knifes him, like, just out of fucking nowhere, knifes him, which, of course, other guards were nearby, so now the fucking patrol is coming. So I don't like the sister, because she's very selfish. She does not think about the consequences. I can understand her being angry for what's happened, and angry because of her fucking arms being gone. So, like, I can understand her wanting to knife somebody. But, like, she never really takes into account her safety, let alone her sister's, which is probably what's most irritating to me. And later on, they do kind of end up having to go against each other because, of course, things haven't really changed in the couple years they've grown. Where they, another thing I forgot to explain is Zhao kind of ends up, like I said, he was a slave in this army, and then it kind of ends up meeting an important character, and then getting more power, and then, of course, understandably, he wants to keep that power. Because he wants to use that power to live a better life, to, like, meet up with the sisters and, like, be together again. But, again, these are kids, so they don't really understand the consequences. Like, it's, a lot of times in these shows there's a lot of anger when you're a slave or something. Understandable. But, like, it never really felt like there was any anger with him. There was felt like a lot of sadness more than anything, and like guilt that if it wasn't for me, then Ning wouldn't have lost her arms, that kind of thing. And so it feels like it's more guilt based, and him kind of like naively assuming that if he has power and if he stays with his army, that he'll be able to live a better life and to like protect using this power he's acquired. And, of course, we know that's idealistic, if anything. And he kind of gets to the point that he kind of stops seeing slaves as people. Like, he says, I was also one, and now I'm not anymore, but we still use slaves. Like, and when I mean slaves, I don't mean, like, black slaves. I mean, like, slaves as in citizens that have been taken by the Empire and used to be, well, slaves. Because when you think slaves, at least for me in my country, you automatically assume, like, black history and slavery there, but, like, slaves doesn't necessarily mean that. It could be any gender, any age, any race, any religion. It's literally just suppressed people. So, I don't know why I had to explain that. Why did I explain that? I don't know. But basically, it's you'll see people being kind of like oppressed, and you'll having to see these kids like fight and go against each other and like do things that kids never have to worry about. Ah, yes, the lovely chorus of barks. But yeah, so there's a lot of like that, and of course, as you would assume, they kind of end up on opposite sides, with Yun having to be with the rebels, and Zhao on the Taipei side, and then them kind of having to, unfortunately, fight each other. And of course, because the sister hasn't changed, as I was saying, she decides to go with Zhao to join the Taipei side, even though it was her fault, even though she, like, literally made her sister join the rebels. And I don't mean, like, she was given a choice. I mean, they gave her a choice if she wanted to join or not, but Yin didn't want to, but her sister kind of did it anyway, and of course, because she knifed that dude and they were seen, she was automatically a fugitive. Didn't matter if she joined the rebels or not, she was automatically a fugitive. So did not give a shit about her sister. And then she ends up getting tortured later on, which I think is fucked up, but a part of me is kind of like, you deserved a little bit of a punishment. Like, I don't think she should have been tortured, but did she deserve, like, someone clearly stating, actually, no, you're the one that's made your sister suffer because you have been selfish. Her sister's constantly been taking care of her and always thought of her and nothing but her, not even herself. While her sister, on the other hand, of course, gets a complex because, well, now she has no arms, and then her sister does everything for her, and then as she's tortured, she kind of, it's the fucking water torture, which doesn't look like it'd be torture. It's literally just a drop hitting you in the head, but apparently it's considered one of the cruelest methods. And yeah, she goes crazy from that, and then kind of assumes, instead of my sister's always there for me, it's anytime I'm suffering, my sister's there for me, so therefore it's probably her fault. So she does go crazy, And then her and her sister end up fighting because she anytime he sees her sister, because she wants to kill her now because it's your fault I'm suffering. It's your fault he doesn't love me. Yana. So like I said, I don't hate her and I don't think she deserved the torture, but I definitely do like people who are extremely selfish, extremely horrible on purpose to kind of get their comeuppance to an extent, depending on what they did and why they did it. So a little bit of me was like, I'm glad you're getting punished, but at the same time, you shouldn't be punished like this. So this is, a lot of it is kids. Like, yes, there are adults, but like Zhao's a kid, Ning's a kid, Yin's a kid. The Empress, we find out later, is a fucking kid. So it's a lot of kids, like, acquiring power they shouldn't have, having things taken away from them, and it's a tragedy, basically. It's a lot of unhappy things happening, and them just kind of having to fucking deal with it. So if you are sensitive to any of that thing, to like anyone being tortured, especially a kid, there's one instance of it happening. But you know, she cut it off because her arms getting cut off. But I don't really consider that torture so much as I'm just getting your arms cut off. Or do you think a torture is more like a prolonged series of pain? Does that make sense? It's not like I looked into it. Anyway, I ended up enjoying it. Like I said, I think I enjoyed Kingdom a bit more. Just because I think it filled a little bit more of my... Like, I definitely like the fantasy, different races thing. I like the historical fashion type thing. So that's interesting to me. Where this is... I don't know. I feel like I got to know characters better. Like, why the way they were in Kingdom more when this... Like, it's not bad. I don't think they did a horrible job or anything. It's just, I think... The other one scratched an itch for me better. Does that make sense? And it's on Crunchyroll. I think you should check it out. If that is your thing. If you don't like that kind of thing, obviously don't. But if you're still kind of like interested in similar things, like I said, check out Kingdom. That's also very... You'd probably enjoy that. I think I said everything I need to say. This one does not have any dubs on Crunchyroll. I don't know if there is an actual dub. It's just that they don't have any on Crunchyroll. Like, if you see a show and the listing is like 300 so-and-so seasons or 100 seasons or anything above like 5 or 6 seasons, assume that's probably... Because they add dubs as seasons in like the season category. Like, for Overlord, it says there's like 3 seasons. There's 3 seasons, so that makes sense. Food Wars, I think there's like 5 or 6 seasons. There actually are that many seasons. And then there's like another one, I think, ReZero is one where it's like 100 and something seasons. There's not actually. It's just, there's a lot of dubs. I think we're on season 2. Part 2? Or we're on season 3 of ReZero? I don't know. I only saw the first fucking season, okay? I have not seen... The last episodes I'd seen was... Yeah, I think it was the first season, and obviously with like the whale. The Battle of the fucking Whale thing. So that season, that's the one I saw. I haven't seen... I know there's more, and I do plan to watch it eventually, but I like ReZero, but it's one of those shows that were just... I don't like time loopy shows. And it's one of those things where he does have to kind of like Groundhog Day some shit, and it's not just like, oops, let's start my day again. It's boring. It's like, oh no, he died, let's go again. And he has to figure out how. Like, that's a show where you're just like, good God. A lot of death in that show. It's a very interesting show, but just like, it's heavy for me. Like, you know, like, I don't like seeing characters I like going through really hard situations, and in this case where that happens, and then he has to keep doing it until he finds out how to solve that problem and get to the next checkpoint, essentially. Like, that's a lot to watch a character you like get just like shit hitting the fan again and again and again and again, and oh, you gotta watch people you care about die, and oh, you gotta die a horrible, horrific, tragic, painful death. So yeah, like shows like that, even though I really want to watch it, are probably gonna take me a while. Just being honest. Okay, anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos. If you think anyone would like my videos, perhaps share them. Pretty please, thank you. And I will go watch something else now. I don't know. I don't know what I want to watch. I'm also reading a lot of stuff on Webtoon again. Like, I started a couple stuff that I think I want to do, like, kind of like first impressions of. Or, like, what I think so far. So it's not really first impressions, but you think first impressions, you think, like, the first couple episodes. which one has like 22 chapters out, which they're more like really long pages more than anything. And then one has like 8, and I think 9, but I'd have to pay for it. Anyway, I'm gonna go.